Only now, locked as we are in the vortex of a marketplace that somehow places enormous value on rubbish like a Ford Escort XR3i, has the world woken up to the Bugatti Veyron. There has never been a point in time when unworthy motor cars were worth so much, and yet perhaps the most ambitious supercar ever devised is only just beginning to win the status it deserves. I've just driven the new Bugatti Chiron. Boy, it really does feel good to type that, and to fully understand where Bugatti has taken its latest machine, we really do need to spend a few minutes understanding the Veyron. Because the Veyron's significance transcends its obvious performance qualifications. Yes, it was the fastest, most complicated, most expensive thing available at the time, but it also prefaced a new technology language, one that virtually all modern fast cars have now adopted: turbocharging, all-wheel drive, and perhaps most significant of all, the dual-clutch gearbox. The Veyron was essentially Volkswagen's then boss Ferdinand Piëch showing the world what his vast conglomerate could achieve. It was his Saturn V moment. And it was nearly as costly. And yet the world never fell in love with the Veyron. We spent 3 days filming with the Chiron for the television show. They were intense, astonishing, and fascinating, but this was a day to myself. A reset button to stop and consider quite what Mr. Durheimer and his team have created, 24 hours to get further under that carbon skin. But to me, I still only had a day to drive the Chiron at my own pace. Just a day. It seems churlish to insert the word only into that sentence when so few people will ever be as lucky as me, but hey ho, I suppose I just love 1500 HP cars and can't really get enough of them. We were in the Middle East, and the car needed to be delivered somewhere, and the seemingly simple exercise of nominating a location to drive and learn about the new Chiron brought home the key paradox of this type of car. Should I have it sent straight to a race circuit? That's surely the best place to test a car that will accelerate from rest to 186 miles per hour in a claimed 13.5 SECS? Absolutely not. This is no more a track car than a Citroën 2CV. Even the vast 420 diameter carbon silicon carbide front. I didn't much like the way the Chiron looked when I first saw it in pictures, and that opinion didn't change when I clapped eyes on it in the flesh. The nagging proportional similarity to the Veyron left me thinking it was just a clumsy facelift. Expectations were low enough, but when Bugatti told me the car was painted gold, I packed a precautionary sick bag, and when they unloaded it I winced, and then, well, I underwent something of an epiphany. Either that or I finally went loopy, because it looked superb. Almost square thanks to its vast tracks and low roofline, despite being 52 mm taller than the Veyron. Is there something about Middle Eastern light that draws a honey-like warmth from the color gold? Maybe I've just stumbled into taste Hades, but I just stood there and gawked. Pre-drive warming duties were left to Andy Wallace, a man who won Le Mans when the cars were terrifyingly powerful. Asked just how potent it felt, he proffered one of those jokey but serious nods, ridiculously. Okay. Gulp. The Veyron wouldn't have worked on Jebel Hayfeed. The strange Michelin pack system tire would have squished and squirmed, the steering would have given the. Michelin has ditched the pack system rubber for a Cup 2 design developed especially for this car. On a twisty road it's night and day superior to anything we experienced in a Veyron. There's big front grip from the 285mm section on turn-in, and then the 4WD system juggles things around so you can experience the full slingshot. And believe me, the first time you give it full afterburner from a second gear turn in a Chiron is a moment to remember, up there in my top 10 memorable motoring moments, and other alliterative criteria. You see, this 1,479 bhp claim in itself means nothing if it can't be accessed or effectively deployed. For example, a Veyron Super Sport has 1,183 bhp, but once traction and clumsy electronic intervention and gear shifts and fear and other factors have nibbled away at the process, the number of times you actually get to use that 1,183 bhp are negligible. In the Chiron, the full madness is available most of the time. Even on the Jebel Hayfeed road's dusty cambers, I could just bury it in second and the thing flew. No traction control warnings, no hesitation, just acceleration and instant gear shifts of a type I have never before experienced. So we headed north to the Al Maktoum Airport, 4.8 kilometers of asphalt where we could run between the cargo spec 747s as they landed. The journey was 2.5 hours of tickled throttle, carefully avoiding Dubai's new obsession with the speed camera and enjoying the extra silence in the cabin. Slacken the dampers and the ride is pleasantly supple, the hi-fi is strong and the cabin is so special. I love the minimalist approach. The thinking is that large infotainment screens would quickly date the Chiron, so all the information and controls are parked around the central speedometer. The Veyron was noisy at speed, but some extra sound deadening materials and, most importantly, double glazed glass make the Chiron much quieter at a cruise. The glazing is so effective that when you drop the window the turbocharger's whooshing and chattering is quite alarming. And quite gratifying. Windows down, this thing sounds very naughty. But you can't run with the windows down at 231 miles per hour, the cabin becomes a little blowy. Not 261 miles per hour? They wouldn't hand me the extra key because this is the first time anyone's driven the Chiron and, rather sensibly, Bugatti feels that she shouldn't put out on a first date. Tires are everything in the... But it cannot cheat physics, and that means the Chiron has a curious battle to overcome as it hurtles towards 231 miles per hour. The acceleration is so brutal that the airflow over the tires cools them to the extent that they lose pressure. And too little pressure could lead to very bad things. This is why you always run with the car's tire pressure monitoring system on the dashboard. It runs to 2 decimal places and you watch it like a hawk. I had to abort my first 2 runs because the front right dipped below the recommend 2.8 bar, but on the 3rd attempt the Chiron kept pulling. The thrust from rest to 100 miles per hour is insane. It must take around 4.5 secs, but the way it bulldozers its way through the next 100 miles per hour is spooky, and it just keeps going, much more aggressively than a Veyron Super Sport. It hits 231 miles per hour a little over 2 kilometers down the runway, nudging into its soft limiter with nary a hint of drama. How fast will it go unlimited? There's talk of something in the 270s. In its lifetime, it is mooted the Chiron variant may exceed 300 miles per hour. It all sounds so implausible, so unreal. And that's